Mr. Ranjeet Mishra, Senior Regional Sales Manager, IXII Technologies. Please put your hands together to welcome him for his presentation.
For this late start, I hope we sort of catch up with the time. My name is Ranjeet Mishra. I look after apps and security business for XI India. So, the topic, sort of which was given to me, I hope I'm able to, do justice with my presentation. Before I get into my presentation, I would like to show you a small video to sort of get all of you to on the same page, and then my presentation will make sense for you guys.
Let's face it, your company is at war. Your network and data center are under constant attack by anyone from hacktivists and criminals to nation states and employees uploading videos to Facebook. DOS attacks, malware, spam, patches, updates, load. A firestorm of issues threatens your business on a daily basis. Your IT staff is on the front lines of this cyber war. But they've only been trained to react to problems, not proactively prevent the damage. And they don't even know if a defense will work until it doesn't. Plus, you can't trust your allies because they just tell you what they think you want to hear. This full-scale war is being fought on your turf. The battlefield is your IT infrastructure. Your enemies are always on the march. And your weapon against them is what exactly? You've got a choice. Continue to patch and pray that your network and data center will endure persistent threats, or go military on cyber attackers. Breaking Point products give you a compact cyber range device, a complete virtualized environment that unleashes internet-scale cyber war in a controlled setting to harden defenses, predict performance, and transform your staff into cyber warriors. You can score the resiliency of every component of your network and data center with a standardized metric that gives you immediate insight into the performance, security, and stability of your IT infrastructure. With that knowledge, you can pinpoint stress fractures and harden vulnerable targets in a focused and effective way while continuously optimizing the security and performance of an ever-changing infrastructure. Only Breaking Point products deliver the cyber range performance and capabilities needed to simulate your own unique network conditions, including built-in applications, security attacks, traffic profiles, automated labs, and ability to generate hundreds of gigabits per second of stateful application traffic, enabling you to create massive-scale, real-world simulations and record their impact on network and data center targets. Using Breaking Point products throughout your IT lifecycle allows you to hold vendors accountable by evaluating products using your unique network traffic. Mitigate deployment risks by validating configuration as well as the effects of change. Determine capacity so you can right-size your IT investments. Maintain resiliency to new threats. And predict the effect of updates and patches. With Breaking Point solutions, not only can you build a resilient and fortified infrastructure, but you can train an army of cyber warriors to protect and maintain it. Just as the military trains on a shooting range, you can use these cyber range capabilities to demonstrate exactly how IT performance will fare under thousands of different high-stress scenarios. You can't stop the onslaught of security threats, high bandwidth traffic, bugs, patches, and World of Warcraft fans, but you can take up arms to neutralize their damage. Breaking Point provides the ultimate weapon against cyber war, a complete cyber range for your IT staff with continually updated attacks and applications. Don't let the next attack expose where your company is vulnerable. Attack yourself and find it before they do.
Long time back, how it started, I'll talk about a little bit of history in my presentation. The first slide talks about how this testing market evolved basically. So long time back, I started with the chip manufacturers, and their idea was to sort of focus on performance and the conformance, and they had no idea how to sort of take this. So XP as a company, when it responded almost 20 years back, they saw this requirement with most of these chip manufacturers, that how do we sort of bring this time to market with this with exact performance it is required in the network. And then we sort of went up on chain. Most of the names, Cisco, IBM, Junipers of the world, they again had the similar challenges with their R&D, and again in testing environment they were looking at somebody who can help them bringing their product faster to the market. And then it went up the chain. I talk about these device and service evaluation. We do Wi-Fi assessments. We do device and test evaluations. We do the resiliency and virtualization, SDN testing, which is something which is of today's topic. I mean it's coming up now. Then network visibility is another way where you don't want to get into the entire traffic to yourself. You want specific traffic which you need to assess, and we also have some very efficient network visibility tools which sort of make your life easier. Then the mobile services. Today, if you look at the 4G and LTE, XA is only one company sort of gives the tools to even perform what is going to happen in future with respect to the traffic. Not only from the performance perspective, but also from the security posture perspective. So, we work very closely with all these 4G LTE operators, which are sort of going to launch their services. So before they launch, they're working with their lab R&D team. All right. So, so we talked about some of the testing tool background history and why these evaluations and performance validations are important. So if you look at the internet has changed drastically over the years. So our traditional HTTP traffic is not very important today because of the changing environment. The more and more application driven companies are coming up. We have seen the latest acquisition of WhatsApp, with Facebook. So this will only drive towards newer threats, and it will only drive towards newer attacks. So, and this is one of the reports which we have seen, the changes from 2011 to the 2013, and I'm sure, the latest 2014 would have increased. And if the red ones, the red dots basically show you that, the Asia-Pac driven attacks are increasing drastically, day by day. So, so basically, we have seen a lot of examples in South Korea on the financial attacks. We have seen some ATM hacking. We have seen some of the, FBI talked about in US, some of the credit card hacking. So these are things not at a very small level. We're talking about at billions of dollars, which are sort of, we are losing on a day basis. So these are some of the examples I'm talking about. So typically your malwares, your attacks are not those traditional ones. We are talking about DDoS, which are massive. We are talking about the bots, which are again, which have really chased some of the big corporates. I can give you an example of JP Morgan, Adobe, Apple. Some of the African attackers have damaged the network of New York Times, and all these security breach in terms of not only data, which is so important to all these corporates, but also which sort of correlate to the a lot of dollars to these corporates. So now the threat perception is not anymore with those traditional attackers. It is they are also getting advanced with technology, with going to the next generation networks. So now with all these scenarios, you are investing heavily on security gates. The CXOs of all these players, they are investing day in day out heavily. But the biggest challenge what we see is that the confidence is still low, because even investing into all these security gates, we still see all those attacks. So how do you sort of secure that? How do you minimize? I'm sure we cannot rule out all these attackers, but at least with our better position with resiliency and validation before you deploy, before you choose any vendor, we can at least minimize those attacks. You'll be better in position to sort of control in a controlled environment of your network. Now, so the question is that you want more security infrastructure or you want more intelligent security plan. And I think so now it's a time that most of the CXOs should talk about better intelligence in their planning when they are talking about revamping their security gears. So if you look at today's spending on any network or a typical IT network, they are spending a lot on their perimeter security. And we're not talking about a few $100s, we're talking about millions of dollars, And that is something which is area of concern. After spending those very high-tech security gears for the perimeter security, even today CXOs are still not able to answer why these still attacks are happening on their network. So, the cross mark here in the presentation, basically it talks about that maybe that particular device is not suiting your network, and the way you have planned, in sort of securing those devices may not be sort of suiting your the entire traffic environment for your particular network. So how sort of Ixia help you? So when we are talking about recreating a scenario or replicating a sort of a real network of your enterprise and try to show you those realistic traffic, by showing, then you can plan better that whether firewall A vendor or firewall B vendor or C or D is sort of suiting your traffic. So we emulate the realistic application mixed traffic with the malicious traffic and try to check the resiliency of each those devices which you would like to sort of plan for your network. All right, so so what we're trying to negate? We're trying to negate the blind investment today. We're trying to sort of invest. I've taken an example of three organizations. Organization A, is sort of investing in firewall, and their firewall, the first firewall which they bought may have a different resiliency score, and when they add on a new firewall, the resiliency score may go down because of the effect of new applications, the effect of new patches and upgrades. Similarly, there are other examples on the IDS and some of the other areas. So now I would like to emphasize on resiliency score, which I have been sort of using in this presentation. So primarily, resiliency score is that where exactly your device or your entire network, which has all these security devices, breaks. So how resilient it is when we put all this massive traffic, the real internet scale traffic, and where exactly it breaks. Then you know that how many such devices or how what are ratings required for those devices to sort of implement in your network. And then so primarily what we're talking about is that the infrastructure resiliency is a function of your score and the risk weightage of several device components in your network. And that is what we are trying to say, that investment in security is a science. So you need to have that calculation, a realistic data with you, which is more quantifiable, and then you can select your vendors accordingly. And obviously, when you are doing these resiliency check, you know what are the weakest link in your network, and based on that, you can do permutation and combination, and select the right vendors and device. So this presentation slide sort of talks about when one of the organization is adding more and more gears, it's sort of increasing the resiliency score, and with all those effects, changes in that particular device or in that particular network. All right. So how does what does Ixia fit in, and how does Ixia fit in this whole gamut of cyber threat today? So everybody, whenever you go for buying a car, you go for a test drive. And obviously, in a similar fashion, when you say that when you're going for your new equipment vendors or device vendors, you need to do a testing of those guys. You cannot just go by simple isolated proof of concept. What we're trying to say is that you test a realistic scenario, with this particular. So that's the test drive we are talking about, and then By doing that test drive, you exactly understand how resilient is your network with those devices, where it will sort of break, and then you get easy, you get early assessment, you can diagnose very well, and then you also are ready with your, remediation, resolution, with you under a controlled environment. And obviously, you find those breaking point, in your network where exactly it break, so that you are much more, covered up in advance. All right, so I have a very simple case study on banking, which I'll talk about, and they are planning to go for a next generation firewall deployment, and the target is that they have a single vendor deployment pan India, and there are 4 use cases in their network, maybe the 4 points, locations, and all the vendors who are participating, they are saying they are 10 Gbps next gen firewall. So here primarily with the same situation, Exia try to recreate scenarios with the important application protocols which are important for this bank, and we recreate the scenarios which can come up in future in their realistic scenario. We try to do this in a staging lab or an environment replica of the network, and then test all these vendors one by one, and then we try to generate a report for all these vendors, and then this report is given to the the bank which is trying to evaluate these guys for the firewall, and based on that resiliency score, they try to see how much powerful each of those are in their environment. So we are not trying to do anything in isolation. We are trying to do is with respect to the environment that bank has today in terms of the traffic, kind of traffic they have. All right. So important point is here that to get that quantifiable data, it just takes 3 days. The kind of traffic they deal with it. So it takes only 3 days to get that quantifiable data to decide that this vendor is best suited for my environment. So that's the key point for that bank, to decide. And in the entire life cycle of network and IT networks life cycle, you can start with your pre-deployment stage, which I've talked about, and then which makes your life easier to select a particular vendor, know the exact architecture which suits your environment, which makes your life easier to deploy the project, and then keep operating with less amount of threats. And an entire spectrum Exia sort of help and sort of sustain the relationship like a partner. So I talked about how sort of it makes it and how we help break it and keep running so that your operational issues are as minimum as you can handle. So all right, how do we sort of do it? So we have a tool, we have 2 tools. In fact, you saw in one of the videos, Breaking Point. This is a company which was acquired by Exia in 2012. And then in today's world, we had a demand of the best protocols, evasion techniques used by hackers and attackers, and then all those DDoS and botnets, and they are all real ones. So we don't recommend people to sort of, connect this device to the real network, because it might break one of those. And the name as such, it says Breaking Point. So basically, having this tool will sort of make your life easier to right from pre-deployment to the operation, in terms of minimizing your threat risk. And the best part is that we have a dedicated team for ATI. We have almost 25 research associates, and so as a company, you don't have to bother about all these attacks and new applications in the market. So every 2 weeks, our team keeps updating the ATI library with all these. On the right-hand side, you see the real attacks and the real-world applications. And any important application which is sort of missing, it takes for us, it takes 1 or 2 weeks to sort of develop those applications for you, which may be important for your network. And same goes with the attacks. Some of the organizations, they see some different attacks for their network. So we have a custom attack tool which comes with a tool, and you can integrate your own attacks, which can generate traffic with those attacks with our tool. All right. So some of the areas which I covered, on the right from the application, why application makes traffic, the realism traffic, and the attacks are important before you deploy anything in your network. And the last, not but the least, the important thing which I want to talk about is that why I'm talking about realism. So our tool works on something called Markov algorithm. And as you know, Markov was a very famous mathematician from Russia. So the traffic is very, very realistic based on that algorithm. So that makes any organization, any enterprise, easy job to use our tool and minimize their risk on the attacks. So that's why I have the slide. And we have a stall in exhibit. We have all our products exhibiting in our stall. And we have a team there, so I'll be more than happy to help you on your queries at the stall. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That indeed was a wonderful keynote address. And